I don't think there's anything Kamala Harris has done, but she supported every Democrat policy that Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer have stuffed down.
Suddenly, Republican heavyweight and House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer has been in the news for shocking claims he has leveled against Vice President Kamala Harris. Not only do these disclosures shed light on Harris's ascent to prominence, but they also seem to give fresh life to conspiracy theories that have been circulating in certain political circles for quite some time, captivating political analysts and fueling broad debate. With President Joe Biden's surprising withdrawal from the 2024 presidential run, Harris now has the formidable task of challenging the controversial former President Donald Trump. To get more exclusive news, like and subscribe before we begin. From the very beginning, Kamala Harris's rise to the position of vice president has been unprecedented. She breaks records as the first Black woman, South Asian woman, and woman to ever occupy the post. Despite the importance of her political career, it has not been free from naysayers and scandals. A lot of people thought her selection was great because it showed how diverse and progressive America is, but others have questioned her friendships, political maneuvering, and how she got to the top so quickly. Her already legendary political career has been further muddied by the disclosures of James Comer. It seems that Comer's recent remarks have brought long-suppressed rumors to light. According to his claims, Harris's rise to the position of vice president was influenced by influential Democrats and had nothing to do with her qualifications or public support. If these allegations are correct, it will not only cast doubt on Harris's vice presidency, but also cast a shadow over the whole process by which American politicians choose their leaders. The story that Comer spins as he depicts clandestine friendships, hidden goals, and backroom negotiations is riveting. It satisfies long-held concerns about powerful people in politics abusing their position to influence the destiny of the country by influencing elections and other results. The idea that Kamala Harris would have profited from a well-coordinated scheme meant to pave the way for her to become vice president makes these accusations all the more explosive. Even though Harris had a rough go of it in the Democratic primary, Comer claims that influential Democratic organizers and funders were instrumental in elevating her. A lot of people thought her presidential dreams were over following her primary performance, especially her decision to quit early after not getting much support. That said, according to what Comer has said, this was all part of a bigger, more strategic political chess game. Harris's detractors have long raised the issue of her skill in navigating the murky waters of political ambition, referencing her extensive network of influential connections both in and out of Washington. Her sudden ascent to fame may have been the product of strategic maneuvers by powerful sponsors or a natural evolution, according to Comer's accusations, which lend credence to this story. This depiction shows Harris not just as someone who takes advantage of political opportunities, but also as someone who is well connected in authority and ready to side with anybody who might help her advance politically. The findings made public by Comer cast doubt on Harris's vice presidency and also address her alleged closeness with Joe Biden during the Democratic primary. During a debate, Harris publicly slammed Biden's record on busing and race, leading to their memorable showdown. Considering the obvious animosity between the two, many political observers were taken aback when Biden finally selected her as his running partner. But according to Comer, outside forces may have seen Harris as the ideal counterpoint to Biden's campaign, someone who could rally important demographics while still retaining ties to the party's progressive wing, and so they pushed for her selection. Naturally, these claims draw on decades of speculation about a plot involving Harris and Biden's relationship. For a long time, Democrats' detractors have hypothesized that Biden, in his role as senior statesman, was only a stepping stone to a more youthful and charismatic figure like Harris. According to what Comer has said, this was not just conjecture but rather an integral part of a larger plan to guarantee a smooth handoff of power in the event that Biden opts not to run for re-election. The hypotheses about Harris's future, and if she was destined to be the focus of attention in the next election cycle, have become even more popular after Biden decided to withdraw from the 2024 campaign. The timing of these discoveries could not be more inconvenient for Harris as she gets ready to challenge Donald Trump for the presidency in 2024. Trump will surely use Comer's accusations as proof that the Democratic Party is crooked and manipulated, as he is an expert at making money out of political scandals and conspiracy theories. While campaigning, the former president dropped hints that he would attack Harris, painting her as an unfit and illegitimate leader who got her job via cronyism rather than popular vote. Harris is facing the highest possible political stakes. These new disclosures may put her legislative achievements and policy efforts on climate change, immigration, and voting rights in the background, despite the fact that she spent her time as vice president fighting for these causes. Questions of honesty and openness, as well as whether she is the right leader for the United States at these crossroads, may take center stage instead. In order to win over voters who could be influenced by Comer's assertions, Harris, who has often been criticized for being too careful in her political messaging, will have to tackle these accusations directly. Furthermore, the Democratic Party may become even more fractured as a result of these discoveries. Among progressives who believe she has not done enough to support their causes, Harris has always been seen as a divisive figure. The forthcoming election might be a downer for the Democratic Party if Comer's accusations are even partially true. They have the potential to widen the gap between the party's mainstream and radical wings. Any indication of internal strife may have a devastating effect on the party's chances of winning elections in this politically charged atmosphere where solidarity is key. It is equally important when these details are revealed. Harris is the most well-known Democratic candidate remaining after Biden dropped out of the race. But other possible Democratic Party contenders may feel emboldened by Comer's accusations to oppose Harris for the nomination. Some prominent figures like former U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton or California Governor Gavin Newsom may see this as a chance to present themselves as an alternative to a candidate who is entangled in scandal. So, Comer's confessions may affect Harris's prospects in the general election and perhaps her capacity to win the Democratic nominee. If Republicans are serious about reclaiming the White House, conservatives would undoubtedly exploit Comer's accusations as a rallying cry. By casting Harris as an instrument of the Democratic establishment, Republican Party heavyweight Donald Trump has cast the 2024 race as a fight for America's own soul. This gives Trump and his supporters more ammunition to portray the political class as crooked and uncaring, and they will stop at nothing to topple them. The Trump base, which already views Harris with distrust and contempt, will undoubtedly respond positively to this framing. Beyond Harris's own political fortunes, this investigation touches on a larger discussion on accountability and trust in the American political system. Accusations that powerful people in the United States may have tried to influence Harris into becoming vice president add fuel to a fire in the American public's already simmering distrust of political elites. The honesty and openness of the voting process has been a point of contention for many voters. The public's desire for leaders who assert the people's will over that of long-established political elites is mirrored in the current surge of populism and anti-establishment sentiment, exemplified by personalities such as Donald Trump. Where Comer's accusations against Harris acquire traction is in this story of elite control against popular rebellion. Concerns over the influence of the establishment are heightened by the assumption that her ascension was premeditated and orchestrated by Democratic strategists. A political class, according to Trump and his followers, has always sought to preserve its power by clandestine agreements and insider maneuvers. Harris takes on the paradoxical task of being cast as a tool of the exact establishment that she professes to oppose, despite her positioning as a champion of progressive causes. What matters most are the far-reaching effects of these disclosures on the trajectory of democracy in the United States, and not just Harris's own aspirations or political connections. Citizens' faith in government and their ability to influence it might take a nosedive if they think strong elites choose leaders in secret rather than the people. When seen in this light, Comer's comments take on a far broader significance. They pose a threat to the fundamental character of American democracy. One of the biggest obstacles Harris may have in her career may be addressing this increasing notion. As she prepares for the 2024 race, her backers say these accusations are politically motivated and without merit. The larger narratives around a candidate typically influence public opinion, and this story of manipulation has the potential to permanently harm her image if it gains traction. Then, Harris will have the difficult task of defending her credentials and the will of the people against those who would say that she rose to power by any means other than those two factors. Since Harris has risen to become one of the most visible people in the Democratic Party, these accusations take on an even greater weight. Now that Biden is out of the 2024 presidential contest, she may be the party's nominee for president, elevating her status above that of vice president. There will be more eyes on her leadership skills than ever before, and the fallout from Comer's disclosures may either help her rise to new heights or bring her crashing down. Harris must not only deny the claims, but also provide an appealing and authentic alternative to the conspiracy-driven discourse that might derail her presidential campaign if she wants to be seen as a serious contender. Although Comer's accusations center on Harris's ascent to the vice presidency, they also bring up more general concerns about the American political system's power brokering practices. Everyone is worried about the influence of money in politics, and the idea that powerful contributors and operatives could have been instrumental in Harris's rise is appealing to those fears. Controversy has surrounded the effect that large contributors and PACs have on American elections for quite some time. A small number of very rich people and organizations, say those who oppose their disproportionate power, are able to steer the nation in the direction of their own financial interests, which weakens democracy. The suggestion that Harris's ascent was aided by influential wealthy contributors only serves to further the view that members of the political class are beholden more to their funders than to the people they represent. Regardless of the veracity of these claims, they do bring up important points about the role of money in politics, an issue that has affected Republicans and Democrats for many years. If Harris wants to win over people who feel powerless because of what they see as a crooked and unfair system, she will have to confront these issues head-on. Simultaneously, the timing of Comer's disclosures is significant. The claims seem timed to undermine Harris's position as the anticipated Democratic frontrunner, coinciding with Biden's withdrawal from the race. Obviously, this is good news for Trump and the Republican Party. He has started preparing for his own 2024 candidacy by putting questions about Harris's honesty and competence. By pointing fingers at their Democratic opponents, Republicans may deflect attention from the problems inside their own party. It might be a perfect chance for Trump, who loves a good scandal, to rally his base by painting Harris as the epitome of what his followers despise: corruption, elitism, and political manipulation. Unlike Harris, who has championed progressive issues throughout her tenure in government, Trump is expected to focus his 2024 approach on recovering the anti-establishment narrative that brought him success in 2016. She may find it challenging to present herself as an unbiased observer of the Washington elite in light of the accusations leveled against her. On the other hand, Trump has maintained his image as an anti-establishment figure, appealing to those who feel neglected by conventional politics, even though he is a billionaire and a former president. Defeating Trump's populist appeal would be difficult for Harris if her supposed connections to powerful people and political operators remain the center of attention in the story around her. Furthermore, Comer's accusations may have political repercussions that impact the Democratic Party overall, not just Harris. Unifying its many sections in time for the 2024 election is a formidable challenge that the party must traverse in the post-Biden era. Disputes between the party's progressives and centrists can widen in response to the claims of manipulation and elite control. If progressive voters think that Harris's ascension was planned by party insiders instead of being propelled by grassroots support, they might become even more disillusioned with the Democratic establishment, which they have long complained about. In light of the present political atmosphere, where progressives and younger people are pressuring their leaders for more openness, accountability, and inclusion, this is more important than ever. Even while the Democratic Party has worked hard to win over this group of voters in recent years, they might become even more jaded if they believe that wealthy donors and party insiders colluded to have Harris run for office. The party's prospects of winning in 2024 are in jeopardy if it disregards these worries and loses support from an important portion of its base. Meanwhile, Comer's findings have far-reaching consequences that make us wonder about the trajectory of American politics going forward. There risks a decline in public trust in elections if the general population perceives that the results are already decided by a small group of powerful individuals. The already low voter participation in many elections might take a nosedive if people believe their ballots don't count. This further deterioration of faith in democratic institutions is worrisome given the current state of extreme partisanship in American politics. A broader discussion on the distribution of political power and the selection of candidates for leadership positions may emerge from the problems surrounding Harris. In the U.S., there is an increasing number of people who are calling for reforms to campaign financing and other ways to limit the power of money in politics. Whether or not Comer's claims are accurate, they have the ability to galvanize support for these movements by drawing attention to the risks of letting a few of powerful individuals control national policy. While dealing with these intricate relationships, Harris must use caution. To win over people from all walks of life, she must provide a compelling vision for the nation's future in her presidential campaign platform. Simultaneously, she has to show that she is honest and trustworthy by facing the accusations directly. To do this, you must not only refute Comer's particular accusations, but also provide a more comprehensive defense of her track record and dedication to serve the American people. The capacity to reimagine her political identity is one of Harris's most pressing issues. Her groundbreaking careers as a prosecutor, senator, and vice president have up to this point molded her public character. As an example of ethnic and gender diversity in leadership roles, she has often been praised as a sign of advancement. Harris must change direction and retell her narrative in light of Comer's accusations, which call into question the veracity of her ascension. The days of riding on her heritage alone to garner support are over. Now she has to demonstrate that her leadership is based on actual competence, vision, and autonomy from the unseen powers that some claim have aided her rise to power. This necessitates providing an honest narrative of her political career and directly responding to Comer's claims. This is the time for Harris to do something more substantial than just highlight her ideological stances and legislative accomplishments, which have served to divert criticism in the past. She has to face the public squarely and answer the unsettling concerns about her connections and the possible role of influential operatives in her rise to prominence. Her reputation and the narrative around political leadership in the U.S. will be defined by her ability to achieve this. These disclosures have far-reaching ramifications that go far beyond Harris's own brand. People may start to see Harris as representative of a larger problem, such the excessive power of political elites, and this might cause a significant loss of faith in the Democratic Party overall. Some may see the Democratic elite as disconnected from the everyday people if it is believed that Harris's ascent to prominence was due to inside deals rather than merit. On the other hand, This may provide a boost to the more radical left-wing factions of both parties, where politicians like Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez have long demanded a political uprising against the power of corporations and the wealthy. These more moderate Democrats may see Comer's accusations as proof that their criticisms of the party elite have merit. The Democratic leadership, according to many progressives, is excessively beholden to rich funders and corporations, who disproportionately benefit from its policies, rather than working-class and oppressed communities. As progressives and grassroots activists look for a more genuine choice, Harris may encounter formidable obstacles to her campaign if it is believed that these elites chose her. Meanwhile, these discoveries have had a significant influence on the Republican Party. Draining the swamp has been a central tenet of Republican campaign rhetoric for years, spearheaded by Donald Trump. This phrase refers to the widespread belief among Republicans that Washington is a breeding ground for corrupt and self-serving elites. Republicans now have new evidence to accuse Democrats of being hypocritical and seizing power, thanks to Comer's accusations against Harris, which play right into this narrative. These allegations will undoubtedly be used by Trump, who loves to use divisive language and appeal to the masses, to paint Harris as the epitome of all that is wrong with Washington politics. He will say that Harris got to the top not by the people's will, but by the corrupt establishment's schemes. Here, Harris faces assaults from both within her own party and from her Republican opponents, most notably Trump. Should Trump be successful in associating Harris with these accusations, it may become an indelible part of her public image because to his talent for molding public opinion via the repetition of easy, effective messaging. Harris should brace herself for an election campaign marked by constant allegations of elitism and corruption, with her every action watched for clues that she is involved in the infamous swamp. It would be unfair to judge Harris's present predicament based on the controversy alone. There is yet a great chance for her to change the situation. If Harris can skillfully refute these claims and portray herself as an independent, ethical leader, she has a good chance of not just surviving, but thriving in this turbulent climate. Her public speaking skills, media relations acumen, and ability to assemble support from influential Democratic groups will determine her fate. Harris has a formidable task in shifting the narrative around her campaign from the accusations to her leadership qualities. She must provide an inspiring future vision that appeals to a diverse range of people. That means winning over moderates and independents who are still on the fence about her candidacy, in addition to the leftists who have long been wary of her record. Harris has always presented herself as a leader who can get things done by collaborating with people from different political parties. Given the present political atmosphere, she must capitalize on this reputation, while also presenting a daring vision that ignites fervor and excitement among the Democratic base. Harris's connections to influential Democrats will be crucial to her capacity to ride out this storm. Harris has had the backing of several powerful Washington personalities throughout her time as Biden's vice president. Nevertheless, now that Biden has dropped out of the race, the Democratic Party is in chaos, and in order to keep her lead, Harris will have to strengthen her relationships. If party heavyweights like Barack Obama openly support her and try to debunk the accusations made against her, they might play a pivotal role in strengthening her campaign. Also, some Democrats could want to put space between themselves and Harris because of the scandal. Other contenders may choose to challenge her for the nomination if influential party members start to see her as a burden rather than an advantage. If Harris falls short, more moderate or progressive figures like Senator Elizabeth Warren or Governor Gavin Newsom may enter the campaign, according to rumors that have been circulating. Harris may find it more difficult to get the nomination if the Democratic field is fractured, especially if the party cannot unite around a single candidate. Importantly, in the next months, the media will play a pivotal role in molding the public's opinion of Harris. It is unclear how much longer this scandal will preoccupy the news cycle, despite the fact that Comer's accusations have garnered considerable public attention. The media's fixation on the accusations might further undermine Harris's campaign. Meanwhile, Harris may seize control of the narrative by redirecting the discourse towards her policy agenda and vision for the nation. How the public views Harris will be heavily influenced by the media's dual function as an information gatekeeper and an amplification of political controversies. Meanwhile, we may learn a lot about Harris's leadership style from how she deals with this incident. How Harris handles the aftermath of these discoveries will demonstrate her resilience and strategic thinking, two attributes that people value in a president. Will she remain composed and confident in the face of the unending stream of criticism? Or will she crumble under the pressure? Her response might determine the fate of her campaign. Another more generalized concern is what this dispute says about the health of democracy in the United States. Whether Comer's claims are accurate, they have capitalized on a rising feeling of disappointment with politics. No matter their political leanings, many Americans believe their elected officials put the needs of big businesses. This view has been a driving force behind the ascent of populism on both the left and the right, exemplified by Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump, respectively. Despite her moderate stance, Harris is now torn between these two groups, which are driving political debate in opposing ways. So it's possible that the 2024 election may wind up being a vote on who controls America, rather than just on Harris. Candidates that pledge to disrupt the current quo may get more votes from those who believe the political system is biased toward the rich and powerful. Either this may provide Trump a chance to prove once again that he is anti-establishment despite his connections and money, or it might inspire progressives to run for office with the goal of drastically altering the current political and economic landscape. Harris has the difficult task of presenting herself as a reformer who can yet function well inside the current system. A sophisticated approach to policymaking and cautious communications are necessary for this balancing effort. Harris has to show her voters that she isn't swayed by the powerful few who supposedly helped her get to the top, and she needs to show them that she's practical and experienced enough to run the nation well. If she can find this middle ground, she has a chance to dispel the naysayers and become a serious presidential candidate. As American political discourse changes, it will have a major impact on Harris's future chances. The way political stories are reported and consumed has changed drastically over the last decade due to the proliferation of alternative news channels and social media. False accusations like Comer's may become viral on the internet, thanks to outlets that promote sensationalism and conspiracy theories, as well as more mainstream outlets. Because of this, popular opinion may swiftly solidify into belief regardless of the validity of the underlying impressions. Consequently, Harris must deal with these accusations as they arise while also controlling how they are magnified and skewed by the online media landscape. Given the prevalence of disinformation in today's political climate, Harris's campaign has to be ready to face a barrage of assaults that use these facts to cast doubt on her integrity. Coordinated misinformation efforts, memes, and viral videos might further cement Comer's accusations in the minds of certain voters. Making sure her counter-narrative is powerful enough to overpower the cacophony will be a challenge for Harris, as she aims to maintain a consistent and authoritative voice throughout various channels. As a result of the shift to a digital-first world for political campaigns, Harris's staff will have to adjust to the new normal. To better target voters, they need to be quick to respond, nimble, and able to use data-driven methods. It is often said that the success of Barack Obama's campaigns in 2008 and 2012 marked a turning point in contemporary political campaigns when they successfully used social media and digital organizing as tools for involvement. Using creative approaches to reconnect with people on a personal level and restore faith in her leadership, Harris must now figure out how to expand upon that legacy. Simultaneously, Harris is also up against the shifting demographics of the American voting population. Younger voters, especially those in Generation Z and Millennials, are becoming more involved in politics. This generation is more diverse and progressive than earlier ones, and it is also one of the most noticeable changes in recent years. Problems including global warming, racial equality, economic disparity, and healthcare are top priorities for a large number of young voters. Despite Harris's prior statements on the matter, her popularity among these people might be diminished due to the accusations made by Comer, especially if she is seen as an ally of the ruling class. If Harris wants to win back the support of young progressives and put an end to their fears about corporate influence and political corruption, she must provide a vision that is both daring and progressive. Adopting measures that address their concerns head-on, such swift action on climate change, relief from student loan debt, and structural changes to reduce income disparity are essential. Harris may cast herself as an agent of change if she wants to, but she must first separate herself from the elites that Comer claims helped propel her to power. Another important factor for Harris is her standing among African Americans, who have traditionally been a stronghold for the Democratic Party. Many Black Americans look forward to Harris as a beacon of hope, since she is the first Black woman to hold the position of vice president. Activists and others in the community feel she failed to do enough to combat institutional racism in California's criminal justice system, which has cast doubt on her track record as a prosecutor. Comer's accusations cast doubt on whether Harris's ascent to prominence was motivated by political expediency or a sincere dedication to the causes that Black people hold dear, which might heighten these worries. Harris must actively involve herself in African American neighborhoods, listen to their worries, and show her dedication to policies that will better their lives if she is to address these issues. Some examples of this include working to improve the criminal justice system, narrowing the income gap, increasing healthcare access, and bolstering educational and economic prospects in neglected areas. In areas like Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Michigan, where the participation of Black voters was pivotal in 2020, Harris's capacity to rally African American voters will be critical to her victory in the Democratic primary and the general election. It would mean a lot to us if you could subscribe to our channel and like this video. In addition, would you mind sharing your thoughts on how this could affect the 2024 election in the comments section below? Send us a message. Until next time, I appreciate you taking the time to watch.